Hi, I'm Caitlin Eckerd, the Education Manager at Powell Gardens, and today we are going to kick off our Midwest Foraging exhibit by learning about mushrooms, specifically morel mushrooms, a favorite in Missouri. I know the season here is definitely done, it's too hot now, but part of our mission at Powell Gardens is to inspire an appreciation for the plants in our lives. 3 species of morel mushrooms are common in Missouri, and they vary in color from tan to yellow to gray. They come in a variety of sizes, but most average is 3 to 4 inches tall. And where do you look for morels? Well, they seem to pop up overnight, so it's always good to keep an eye on the forecast. They usually grow in 24 to 48 hours, and you usually see them in late April or early May, depending on the spring weather. With this year, 2022, we definitely saw morels a little bit later since we had a very cold April. And usually the ground soil needs to reach 50 degrees Fahrenheit for the morel spores to sprout, and rain followed by warm days and warm nights are also ideal conditions for looking for morels. You can look for morels in moist woods like we are here today, river bottoms, or south-facing slopes. They're also found near dead elms, in old orchards, or burned fields as well. Experienced morel mushrooms have their own hiding spots and their own techniques, and they know where the morels pop every year. So you're very, very lucky if an experienced morel mushroom hunter takes you with them to learn their secrets. It's important to have 2 items: a very sharp knife, which you use to cut the morel at the base of the stalk, and then also a mesh bag. It's not scientifically proven, but many people believe if you put your morels in a mesh bag, it'll spread the spores throughout as you're on your foraging journey. Morels are choice edible mushrooms. It's very traditional in Missouri to deep fry them, which is how my grandmother prepared them, but they're also very excellent sauteed in butter with some breadcrumbs or cream. If you find a lot of morels, you can freeze them, or you can also dry them to make them last longer. And as with all wild mushrooms, always cook them, do not eat them raw, and clean them first by slicing them lengthwise and soaking them in salted water. This ensures that any insects or other dirt will get off of your morel mushroom. Now, you also have to be careful of false morels because they look very similar to regulars, but they have a reddish, wrinkled, lobed, or brain-shaped cap. So they're a little bigger cap, and they have dense stalks. Real morels have hollow stalks. And as with any wild edible, be sure you can identify morels before you eat them. You can tag along with an experienced morel mushroom hunter or take a really good reference book along your hunt. And the Missouri Department of Conservation has tons of excellent resources on their website to identify proper morels. And you want to think twice about where you're collecting your morels. We advise against collecting from roadsides, railroad tracks, golf courses, lawns, because you don't know what kind of pesticides or other chemicals that have been used. So you always want to try to have the cleanest mushroom you can have. Check the state laws in your city, county, state before you go forage. It is illegal in most states to forage on private land, so unfortunately you cannot come to Powell Gardens and forage. However, you can go to Missouri state parks or public lands and forage there, but you want to be mindful of the foragers coming after you, and also for the next year's harvest, because if you're harvesting morels, you don't want to take them all. Don't be greedy, and that goes for any foraging. You want to make sure there is enough for the next year to start.